She's drunk. It's the only explanation. We've been guessing. We've been playing coy. Kamala Harris, absolutely faced. Kamala Harris finally emerged from being out in the wilderness for a couple of weeks after Election Day. In fact, she was in Hawaii. Great way to relax, rejuvenate, and come back strong and let everybody know you're doing great. So here she was speaking to a bunch of grassroots activists on a live video. The Democrats posted this video on their social media. Let's watch it together, shall we?
I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you.
Oh my God. Listen, we've joked about this and sort of thrown some coy innuendos out there for the last year, and we've sort of suggested maybe she's got a little bit of a drinking problem, but I'm tired of being coy. She's trashed. She is absolutely wasted. We've all seen it in our lives, haven't we? The question is she drunk? Does she have a drinking problem, or is it more specifically a substance abuse problem? Is this prescription meds of some sort, or is it just good old California Chardonnay? Let me know. Emojis work best. Is it a pharmaceutical pill, or is it a bottle of wine, or glass of wine, or a bucket of wine? Let us know in the chat or in the comments what you think it is. But can we just say now, can we just agree that she's got some kind of substance abuse problem? No normal people talks like that. No normal person talks like that or acts like that. You know, have you been to Thanksgiving where the aunt who has no children sort of pulls you aside after she's had several glasses of Pinot and she tries to corner you and say, let me tell you something. You've been my favorite nephew. And I just want you to know you're so good. You're so strong. You keep reaching for the stars. The drunk, childless aunt that thinks that she's giving you parenting advice or something. This makes her feel good for another year about the fact that she doesn't have any kids. By the way, by her own choosing, she wanted to live that childless lifestyle so she could just go anywhere and do whatever she wants. And now she's 60 like Kamala Harris is, and she's regretting all of her life choices. So now she traps you in the family room at Thanksgiving and says, tell me about school. How are your grades? Is there anything I can do to help you out? Don't ever let anyone take your power away from you. That's what Kamala Harris is. But the missing ingredient here is the booze. It's the drunkenness. In fact, Charlie Spearing over at the Daily Mail, who actually wrote a book about Kamala Harris, he found another cut that's even worse from that. That's the clip, by the way, that we just looked at together. That's the clip that the Democrats put out voluntarily, deliberately, like on purpose. They put it out there, and you got to think that was the best 30 seconds of Kamala Harris they could find. Or there are people at the Democrat Party infrastructure managing their social media accounts who hate Kamala Harris. And they did this to sort of spike whatever chance she might have. But check out this clip. Charlie Spearing, Daily Mail found it. This is even worse.
We are all in this together. And on this practical eve of Thanksgiving, I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving with the ability and to find the ability at this moment to just remember there is so much to be thankful for. And so I wish for you that you are surrounded by the people you love and who love you. As you know, I encourage you to be around family in whatever way you compose that family, but to take a moment and just reflect on all the good you have done and all the good you have yet to do. We are all.
Oh, man, that's a disaster. How is this not a substance abuse problem? Is it Xanax? I've taken one or two Xanax, and man, it just wipes you out. It destroys you. And I guess maybe she's doing that to take the stress away. I can imagine it must be horrible to be just that close from being president, actually thinking that you're for sure going to be president, and then it gets ripped away from you. I'd almost feel sorry for her if I didn't recognize what an awful human being she is and how awful she was, not just to uh, her political opponents, but also we, the people, the voters who dared to actually think that she maybe wasn't quite up to snuff for 1600 Pennsylvania. She called us garbage, or tacitly allowed her pal Joe Biden to call us garbage. That's awful. You've seen the first clip, right? You've seen that she has trouble, saying basic words like ability. Watch this.
And you have the same ability to engage.
That's a drunk person. You have the same ability, right? Can we go back to the Thanksgiving one here? Let's just watch this together.
All in this together. And on this practical eve of Thanksgiving, I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving with the ability and to find the ability at this.
What was that? Was that literally the drunk person's hiccup in the middle of a sentence? We have the ability in the happy times that we're going to have. This is awful. This is sad. This is pathetic. I'm loving it. She's a terrible human. And of course, the memes have already started. Here's the most accurate portrayal, I think.
Don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did.
That is beautiful. Therakin memes deserves the credit. It had to be a bottle of Hennessy, too. That's right. Nothing high end. Just some down and dirty Hennessy. Yes, you got to do what you got to do, I suppose. So if you're wondering what's going on with Kamala Harris, now you know. And I will go to my grave thinking that there's someone either at the Democrat Party infrastructure or at the Kamala Harris campaign that, understand, used to be the Biden campaign. There are some holdouts there that love Joe Biden, feel wronged, think she's responsible for screwing this whole thing up. They're angry at her, and they put that out to make her look bad. And it worked. She still thinks she's going to run for president in 4 years. Okay, maybe she needs to go to a clinic first. Meanwhile, if you're wondering what's going on with the running mate, Tim Walz, the dancing queen, let's check in on him because he put out a video of his own and he does not look well.
I know it's incredibly disappointing now. And look, candidly, it's a bit scary because there's a very different vision that's being put out there.
Wow, that's leadership right there, my friends. The man is a governor of a state. He just lost the election, and he's telling the people in this country that it's okay to be scared because of the incoming administration. It's scary. What exactly is scaring you, Tim? And I love the official flags behind him as if this were an official announcement to the people of Minnesota from their governor. Be afraid, everybody. Be afraid. Thank God. My God, I know Donald Trump literally dodged a bullet on July 13th. And thank God he did. However that happened, it was a miracle that we've all benefited from. But we, the American people, dodged a huge bullet with these two. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the next 4 years with them holding the reins of power in this country? These are awful, terrible people. All right, so that's what's going on with Kamala and with Tim Walz. Kamala's stepdaughter, made an appearance. She was on the red carpet at some fashion show awards something because she's a model, don't you know? By the way, does anyone think that this woman, I mean, no offense to her, she's somebody's daughter, so God bless her, except she does like Palestinian terrorists who kill innocent people, so I don't really have much sympathy for her, but does anybody believe that she's going to continue getting modeling contracts now that her stepmother is no longer in any way in a position of power? Seriously? Modeling contract? All right. Anyway, She was at a red carpet event, and apparently she was near tears, and somebody in the fashion industry came to console her. Let's
Such a big fan of you. Same, girl, same. I can't even believe you know who I am, and are you kidding me? I can't believe you know who I am. Oh well, you are like a breath of fresh air. Every kid I know is just like knows your name, is singing your praises. The way that you play with fashion and just are unabashedly yourself is the most exciting thing I've ever seen. What are you wearing? Okay, so I'm wearing Coach tonight, and what's so special about this is made of hand-spun yarn out of all of their old fabric swatches. They really just understood my style and my whole ethos of sustainability. What has been the biggest influence on your style? Most of my inspiration is like objects. I'm a collector. I have like tchotchkes all over my apartment. Same, it's a problem. No, exactly. I'm like, why do I need another figurine? Because they're cool. So like, these are all yours? No, these are Coach. Oh, okay. These are mine. Oh, what has it been like for you, this whole thing? Like, how are you feeling? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling happy to be here and just celebrate fashion, celebrate Stuart. And honestly, this feels like strong. I'll be rooting for you and your family, and we're so like honored. And you're an absolute beacon, bright light. Love it.
Yeah, she is. She's an absolute beacon, a bright light. I think fashion, I think this. I think fashion and beauty and aesthetic and art and everything that we as a human race hold up as the ideal and iconic representation of the greatest that mankind can achieve in terms of pure aesthetic. I think that's what I think. By the way, is it weird to anyone else that what's her name again? I'm sorry, I can't remember her first name. Emhoff. I know that she's an Emhoff. It's the stepdaughter, right? Uh is it weird to anyone else that she was just interviewed on the red carpet by a older version of herself? It's like, I am so excited to meet you. I'm you 40 years from now. Can I ask you some questions? What world are we living in right now? All right, so that's what's going on with Kamala Harris, the vice president, Tim Walz, the running mate, who's the governor of Minnesota still. Good luck up there, Golden Gophers. That's going on. What's going on with her stepdaughter, who, by the way, how are you holding up? She seems to be just fine. She seems to be doing just fine. Oh, I guess I'm going to be okay. Can we talk about a new contract before all of this goes away? Before this entire thing? Am I the only one who thinks that the Emhoff girl is going to be like knocking up a 7-Eleven before we know it? That she's going to end up like Dana Plato, rest her soul, or like one of these other child actors who ends up, strung out on drugs and robbing a convenience store to pay for the next meth hit. And I don't want that to happen. It's just a hunch. She has the vibe. All right, so we know what she's up to now. How about the president of the United States? Remember him? Remember Joe Biden? What's he up to? Is he running the affairs of state, perhaps? Maybe, looking after the war that's going on in Ukraine? No, Joe Biden is in Nantucket on the taxpayer dime, staying at a millionaire's house for Thanksgiving. Look at him going down the stairs. You see how he's holding his wife's hand? It's lovely. After all the decades they've been married and at their age, that they still hold hands in such a loving and affectionate way, right? Wrong. It's a death grip. She is holding him up and keeping him from keeping him from falling down the stairs. Look at the knuckles. Zoom in, could we? Or can we make it bigger? Look at how tight he is holding her hand. And watch how he holds her hand as they go down the stairs. That's not love. That's not affection. And you know how I know? I'm not being mean, because watch what happens the second they're off the stairs. Boom. Look at all right. Don't have to help you down the stairs. I'm out of here, buddy. She immediately said, now watch him get into the car. This is the most tenuous, gentle. Wow. And look who's going with them. Oh, hey, what's in the bag? What's in the bag, Hunter? It is still remarkable to me that up until just a couple of weeks ago, they were telling us that these are the guiding lights and great leaders that our nation needs at this trying time. Hell, 3 months ago, they were telling us this guy in particular was just fine, not just to be president now, but for 4 more years. If you watch this program, we kept pointing out how he is completely mentally, physically debilitated and in no possible way could be president of the United States. But if you got your media from other sources, they were still telling you this is the greatest first family we've ever had. And then, you go back to this one. Up until 3 weeks ago, they were telling us that she was the most transcendent political figure of our generation and that she is perfectly equipped to lead this nation, nay, the world, for the next 8 years. I said it again. I said it before. I'll say it again. Dodged a bullet. By the way, while she's getting hammered and coping with all the sads, and Tim Walz is telling the people of Minnesota that they have every reason to be terrified because of the election. And while Joe Biden is in the death clutch as he's barely making it down a flight of stairs as he prepares to have his final Thanksgiving in Nantucket that you're paying for before he wanders off into the sunset. What's going on with the president-elect? Where are things right now with Donald Trump as his transition team has populated his cabinet and he's priming to take office in about 8 weeks? Well, here's what's happening with Donald Trump. His approval rating is one of his all-time highest. And the American people, by a huge margin, support his entire transition process. And, oh, by the way, the ones that we're told are the most controversial in the transition, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., by far the most popular pick that Donald Trump has right now for Health and Human Services. It appears everything the Trump transition team has done as of now is working perfectly. And Donald Trump himself, as he's poised to get sworn in January as your 47th president of the United States, he is sitting at an all-time popular high. What a difference an election makes when you finally have your chance to have your voice heard.